Hello and welcome to Accelerate. I am Matt Stone. This is the podcast where we encourage and inspire CEOs, founders, and visionaries on their big leap journeys. We talk about the stories and strategies that will help you accelerate toward your big leap destination with purpose, humility, an open mind, commitment to growth, and recognition that the way we get there is at least as important as where we end up. And I'm so delighted that you've tuned in today. And it is Monday, October the 10th, and we're speeding towards Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So definitely in the throes of fall here in the Northern Hemisphere anyway. And I hope you have had a great weekend. I certainly did. Lots of R&R and reflection time. Got some reading in. Met up with a group of men that I meet with, which is just a phenomenal, rejuvenating experience, and enjoyed it. And absolutely, just the weather has just been phenomenal again. So really, really grateful for that. So I hope you are enjoying as well. And I've had more time to reflect on my time in Nashville. So if you haven't heard previous episodes, I was in Nashville last week for a few days for a conference. And at that conference, there were many, many important things that happened. But one of the highlights was getting to hang out with and listen to and observe and learn from a couple of different masters. And one in particular is Marshall Goldsmith. Now, if you're not in the coaching world, or even if you're an executive or you're a coach, you probably know who he is. And the reason is because Marshall Goldsmith is the most renowned executive coach, arguably in history. I mean, he's, at least in this era, in the modern form of coaching, Marshall's at the top and almost defined the category in many ways. And now he's in his upper 70s, and he came to this conference and he did a keynote, and then he did a workshop the next day. And I got to attend both. I got to talk to him both times after the keynote was done, after the training was done. So I got to take in a lot of Marshall. And I've also been reading his latest book called The Earned Life. Highly recommended. Highly, highly, highly recommended. I think I mentioned that in a previous episode. But I have had a further thought about my experience. I mean, I've just been sort of over the weekend kind of thinking about it and seeing what's coming up for me in that experience. What did I learn? What did I take away? There is such an amazing gift that comes from getting to be in the presence of someone who has mastered their craft. And there's the obvious things. You know, getting to see and learn from someone who just has decades of experience focused and increasingly narrowly on one thing. You know, having lived in Japan for a long time, the craftsperson culture, where you have, an 80-year-old man who knows how to make the perfect glass, the perfect iron bowl. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to behold. And the same is true for someone like Marshall Goldsmith, who is a master at his craft. It also means that he's not perfect. He is a mortal, a human being, and he'd be the first to tell you that, with flaws and things to work on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the power of sitting there in a room with someone like that is seeing up close, not through a lens. Well, you have your own lens in your brain, but not through a camera. Right there to feel the energy, to see the warts, to see the mannerisms, to see the imperfections and the brilliance and the skill and the heart right up close. So, so important. So one of the big takeaways that's emerging for me as I let it kind of marinate in my soul, and really not marinate, bubble up, is that we all have that brilliance in us if we dedicate ourselves over a long period of time and overcome the challenges and just stay at it, that you will get much, much better at it, that it takes many, 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 many years. Marshall says it takes like 20 years to figure it out, what your specialty is going to be. I think that's what he mentioned. That was so validating for me. he talked about people who go to law school and become lawyers and then realize they don't want to practice law. And I went, check. So validating. But in addition to the validation, it's the humanity, the mortality, if you will, of the human being. There was another master, Roger Love, master voice coach. I mean, this guy has coached the most famous, most successful celebrities, singers, actors, in the world. And he's clearly trying to create a sustainable stream of income by offering putting voice coaching in the context of leadership and human resources and being a better leader. And he's clearly trying to build, something. At least this was my takeaway. He's there now. He's trying to put out there, instead of having one client at a time, he's trying to build a program that will create sustainable revenue. That's my guess. And he's a master, but he's starting over in this new area of business, this new style of business. And it was clear that he was still figuring some things out. So to see a master at his craft figuring out the business part of it as he's adapting and changing and getting older and wanting to probably live a different life. He didn't say that, but it seemed pretty apparent to me. Looking at Marshall, who's getting closer to 80 and thinking about his next chapter as well. And I just look at both of those people, but Marshall in particular, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be in the same room, but also to recognize that I have my own place in this world, that we can mythologize these people if we only see them through social media and only see them through polished packages that come out or through the books they write. They can become these figures that transcend, normal humanity. They become godlike figures. And the beauty of going and seeing people in person is you see, oh, no. This is a regular person who makes tons of mistakes, who, says things a little weird sometimes, just like I do, just like everyone does, and they recover from it. And that's okay, which means I get a chance too to be flawed and brilliant if I keep working at it, and widely known if that's the best means for me to get my skill and what I bring to the table out there. So one of the big takeaways is when you have a chance to be in the presence of a master, do it. Because you will also see that they're just a human being. And you can really admire and be inspired by and learn from the mastery, and also connect to the humanity and realize that you too are already a master or on your way to becoming a master if you so choose. That's my message for today. Find masters and be near them. I'm certainly going to do that. I hope that was inspiring. If that's inspiring and helpful to you, please share this with friends, family, colleagues that you care about and let them know that you do care. I certainly care about you. The website, if you're sharing this podcast, the easiest website to give people is just mattstone, MATTSTONE.co. That's kind of the hub. And it's got, the links to Google and Apple and all that, so people can go wherever they want to go after that. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at MattStoneCO, Instagram at MattStoneCO. And you can join me tomorrow for another episode where we'll talk about something else that will hopefully inspire you to advance and accelerate your progress towards your potential and making the world, your world and ours, a better place. Thanks for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Bye-bye for now.